The visit had been arranged and our sponsor urged us to go. Financially, there was no way we could go. Price was far too high. Unfortunately, we don't have to make those sort of sacrifices these days. We don't have to send people to the USA to check the business out or anything like that, or to associate with winning people. There's plenty of success here now. But for us in those days, financially, it was out of the question. At least that's what I thought, and that's what I said to my sponsor. But he started to teach us success thinking. Before this business, problems defeated me. I hadn't learned the principle of facing a problem and stepping over the problem and looking for a solution. He sat down with us and spent an awful lot of time helping us to find a solution. And I'm not going to go into detail of what we did to raise money, but we certainly sold some products and lots of other things. We made it happen. And it taught me one thing, and it's, quite a famous saying that we use a lot in the business today, and that is, behind every adversity, there's a seed of equal or greater benefit. Or if you want to put it more simply, every disadvantage masks great advantages if you look for them. He taught us to look for advantages. He taught us to look for the advantages and start to paint a picture of what those advantages could be. We had faith in him, and he assured us that it would certainly help escalate us to that 21% level. So he began to give us a reason to go. We looked, and we raised the money eventually, and we went to the USA. Here's the interesting thing. Nobody made us do that. Nobody mesmerized us into doing it, cajoled us into doing it, or forced us into doing it. Why did we do it? We did it for us. We did it for us to get more knowledge so we could help more people, because we knew the more we could help, the more we could earn. And as Greta said, we met Fred and Jerry and Bill, and learning from their wisdom and their knowledge and seeing their lifestyles did an awful lot for us. We saw lifestyles that we hadn't even imagined in our wildest dreams. We'd seen nothing like it in the UK. Sure, there were lifestyles like it, I suppose, but we'd never through our life been able to associate with people who had those sort of lifestyles. But here were people who were genuine and prepared to help us, put their hand out to help us. It certainly helped us to see a bigger picture, gave us more belief, more motivation, and more determination to succeed. And we did, as Greta said, go 21% 2 months later. That was the benefit. That was the greater benefit that saying refers to. But there was another advantage that we can now look back on as an even bigger advantage that we gained by going to the United States. And that was the fact that we met Jerry and Mandy. Now, Jerry and Mandy obviously aren't in our upline or our downline. They're cross-line from us. Jerry and Mandy sponsors Bill and Les O'Brien. And Bill and Les O'Brien are our upline sponsor as well, but of course in a different group. So the common denominator for Jerry and Mandy, and that was the reason they're there, is because they were part of one of Bill O'Brien's downlines. And we didn't really know them. And we were over there on the 4th of July, Independence Day, and the American distributors were taking great delight showing us their wonderful country, and they were really wonderful hosts, showing us how big the business was, and in their own ways were trying to teach us some things. And we will ever be thankful for Bill and the rest of our upline for putting that plan in place. But they also took great delight in explaining to us how they'd beaten the British. And I don't know whether it was the British resolve that brought Jerry and Mandy and Pat and Greta together that evening of the 4th of July, but while all the Americans were celebrating that how they'd beaten the British, we were talking. We loved the Americans, but we began to talk about how things may be in the UK. And the more we talked, and I think we found that common denominator, the four of us had a dream that it could happen. We had a belief that it could happen. And although it wasn't actually said on the day, I believe there was a common bond formed then, which gave us the tenacity, I suppose, and the strength in later years to see it through, to make sure that we could have just as good a business in the UK as they had in America as well. Those thoughts and those dreams weren't to be rekindled for perhaps another 12 months or 18 months. We returned to the UK, and as we said, we went direct, we went 21%. And we sort of made the business work in some way or other. We didn't always maintain our directorship. Things we were good, and sometimes we had bad times. The problem we were finding was that we couldn't help some of the distributors. We'd wandered away from the system. There were people who were tampering with the system. There were people who were suggesting the latest new idea. And the whole thing got very messy and very confusing. We hung in there with the business. I was getting more and more responsibilities at work. Our sponsor became less active. He had work progression on his mind. He was offered a directorship in another company, and eventually he didn't renew. We were still friends, and we met each other every 6 months, but he still didn't take any interest in the business because his dream had been stolen by the company he worked for. And we plodded away, trying to help the groups as much as we could. There was no real leadership in the UK. And as I say, some people were experimenting, and maybe the business was getting really in a mess. And then one day we had a chance meeting with Jerry and Mandy. And we talked about what we'd seen over in the States. And we recalled what had been said, because they'd been having similar challenges. And we recalled the words of Fred and Jerry and Bill that they said to us as we left. Keep in touch. If there's anything we can do, don't hesitate to call. We'd lost sight of the very thing that had attracted us to this business in the first place. And that is, there is a professional system and helpline in this organisation to help, guide and steer every single one of us. If we put our hand out and asked for that help, we hadn't done that, but we did it real quick after we'd spoken. If only we continued to take the advice from the right people, from successful people, who knew from their experiences how to help others succeed. That's what our upline was doing. They were helping us because, they had a financial interest in us. They wanted us to succeed. Instead, we've been listening to the theorists, the non-achievers, the people who said it won't work in the UK. Sure, we still stayed in the business, but they were getting to us, niggling away. We focused off our goal of helping others, focused off the activity level in the business. We started, as I say, to take the right advice from the right people. Fred, Jerry and Bill visited regularly to the UK. And they spent an awful lot of money helping us re-establish the business over here. They reintroduced a system that had helped thousands and thousands of people throughout the free world become successful in networking. The four of us started to work as a team, Jerry, Mandy, Pat and Greta. Jerry and Mandy still had their business with their groups, we still had our business with our groups, but we decided, with the agreement of our upline in the States, to join forces on training and helping people build this business. We worked as a team to put the system together so that it could help not just Jerry's groups, but our groups as well. The two groups joined for that very, very purpose. And Fred reintroduced that very simple message. The more people you help, the more money you earn. And the more people they help, the more money they earn. The system began to get results. More people achieved the 21% level, the direct level. Now it wasn't just Jerry and Mandy and Pat and Greta. There were others sharing that success. And they in turn help others to achieve the 21% level. In this day and age, it's about £1,000 a month. A team spirit started to evolve in the UK. Success began to breed success. More people in the UK started to believe in the business and in their ability to succeed. People from all walks of life began to be attracted to the business. Professional, non-professional, young, not so young. There was no restriction on success, and they were beginning to see it. But of course, I was still working. I was still getting more problems with the boss. He was making me do things he was making me do more and more things I didn't want to do. He was giving me more aggravation. There was less respect there, and I couldn't take time off when I wanted to. And this is a problem what maybe some of you are experiencing right now. When you know you've got hold of something with this business and maybe you're getting real close to the direct level and above, and your boss is giving you aggravation at work. You see, when you had nothing else, you just cowered down. I used to cower down and go on with it. But I'd seen the other side of life. I began to see how life should be led. And I didn't like what I saw at work. And I had to hold my tongue and bite my tongue because I felt so, angry sometimes when he was giving me a hard time. Well, you know what I felt like saying to him, I'm sure. I don't have to say the words. And maybe some of you are feeling like that now. Whatever you do, keep cool, keep calm. Wait to leave in the right environment at the right time. We had to do that. I had to take advice again from our upline, from Bill O'Brien, from Jerry Harteyes and Fred. And we talked about when I should retire from work, when I should give up that stupid job. And we worked on some financial things, and Fred is a real good teacher on financial matters. And what Fred recommended I do was resign from that job, but not before I'd found myself a part-time job. So I did. I found a job that I only had to work 40 hours a week at. I prepared beforehand. I found a job that was nice and easy to tick over. I spoke to the person who employed me. I told him about the business. I was real upfront about everything. I said, I want a job. I'll do 40 hours, good, honest work for you. You pay me what you agreed to pay me. I don't want any promotion. I don't want to move anywhere. I don't want any extra responsibilities. I just do this. And probably in 12 months' time, I'll leave. Real nice guy. I wish I could find him now. He'd be brilliant in this business. Very open-minded, real nice. But in those days, I couldn't really contact him for obvious reasons. And that's exactly what happened. During that 12 months, or part of that 12 months, we started to, just live off our business income. So, things were done properly, and at the end of the time, we'd save some of that income to give us a little nest egg when I finished work. As more people became successful in the UK, incomes started to improve. Remember, income's in direct proportion to the number of people you help. More people were getting in. And we were still operating those principles that Fred teach, get out of debt. Our first objective was to pay off credit cards and debts like that. And he taught us how to save income earned. In the last 6 months, that gave us that nest egg because we didn't spend what I was earning at the job. And that took a lot of pressures off us. We argued less about the lack of money. We talked more about our dreams. We still had one major problem, and that was our car. I obviously hadn't got my company car by now, and so we were running around in a Ford Cortina. Some of you who remember us in those days will remember the infamous Ford Cortina. This is the one where the door that Greta got in, the passenger door, was sort of hanging off, and once you opened it, the whole door fell off, so you had to keep it closed. And I remember even today that one plan we were doing back in those days was in a very nice house, and the couple were quite well off. I don't remember what he did, but he had some sort of high-flying manager's job, and she was an estate agent's assistant. She sold houses on a Sunday all day. She ponces around the show house. A lot of status. Beautiful house. Far better furniture than we had. Lots of things there that we envied. And we parked our Ford Cortina well out of the way. We'd learnt in those days, because it was a bit dodgy to start it, that you always park on a hill, downwards. We did the plan, talked about dreams and so forth, left, booked follow-ups and left, and went back to get in the car, and the inevitable happened. We rolled down the hill, the car didn't start. And obviously I had to lose a bit of face. I had to go back to her and asked them if they wouldn't mind pushing us. They eventually got started. A few days later they quit the business because they couldn't see how somebody with a Ford Cortina could teach them how to make money. She still sells those houses today, bless her. We're beginning to see the light at the end of the tunnel. we began to see the business really working. We began to plan our future. We began to get more free time. We began to crystallize our goals. And we began to influence their income by just basically helping more people. We started to plan better lifestyles. We started to talk about maybe a new home, another home. That didn't any longer become a wish, it became a burning desire. We realized we no longer needed to live so close to the place where I used to work. In fact, with this business, if you think about it logically, you can live anywhere within the country. You're not tied to one particular area. We had a more secure future for ourselves and other people, and also Nicola as well. We started to own reliable cars and quality cars, and there are dangers in that, as Greta explained. I'll tell you what, if that had been a man, he'd have thrown her in prison, locked away the key. Don't know how these women get away with these things. We began to sort of be in credit with the bank, which was quite nice because we started to get Christmas cards every Christmas for the bank manager. He was pleased to be associated with us at last. We began to be good payers of bills. I don't remember when we last had a red bill in our house. Do they still send red bills, or they change the colour these days? We haven't had a red one for ages. But little things like that started to count, started to excite me. We're now in a position to be able to concentrate on also helping others that were less fortunate than ourselves. And that's a powerful thing that you can have in this business. I always remember years ago when we had no money, and how I used to cross the street when somebody was stood outside a shop rattling a collection box, maybe for Poppy Day. I'd cross the street in embarrassment because I had no money. Or I'd maybe palm my hand over so I could slip in a very small amount, maybe 5p. You know, we all do things like that. We don't do it because we're mean or anything like that. I think we do it because we're embarrassed. And one thing you can do with this business is hold your head up high when you realize that you can at least contribute to worthy causes like that. For us and many others in the UK, this business has been good. Our lifestyles changed beyond any recognition. And I tell you that not to boast and not to brag and not to annoy the doubters or to antagonize our critics. This business works. Your lifestyle and all the other things the business will give you will dramatically improve. And I'll talk a little bit about that tomorrow. But I tell you that not to annoy other people or to boast, as I say, but for one reason and one reason only. This organisation over the years has built this business on high moral and ethical standards. It's a good business, it's an honest business, and it's a business that stood the test of time and will continue to do so for many generations to come. And that success is open to you and every person that wants to grab it. Looking back, how things could have been if we hadn't grabbed the opportunity can only be described as a nightmare. Would I have still had a job? I doubt it. Would we have still been together? Maybe not. Would stress, worry and conflict have taken its toll? What if Fred and Linda, Bill and Les and Jerry and Polly had said no to this business? I used to think a lot about this. What if they'd have said no? None of us would have been here today. We would never have known the joys of developing a family secure in the knowledge that the lack of money is no longer an issue. It's no longer a prime consideration. Money, or the lack of it, doesn't even figure in our conversation anymore. We'd never have known what it's like to see our dreams come true, or have the ability to help others and see other people's dreams come true. See the excitement on their faces when they realize they're moving on in the right direction. When they realize those dreams are now getting closer and closer. We'd never have known the feeling you get when you realize that this business, through this organization, gives you one major challenge, and that is the challenge of being able to dream big enough. I doubt if anyone here can dream big enough. I will never ever say I can dream big enough, because each year in this business our dreams change and crystallize even more and become bigger, not only for ourselves but for other people as well, because for yourself you can only have so much. Can you dream big enough? I doubt it. The rewards that you know that the successful people have already got in this business, in this organisation, over in the States, in our upline, those rewards, if those are your dreams, then you're selling yourself short, because they're minuscule compared with what your dreams can be like, with the momentum that this business is moving at this present time. Those dreams are minuscule compared with what your dreams could be in the future. We're ever thankful to our sponsor for giving us the opportunity. Our sponsor, as I say, failed to renew. He had other priorities. He had a corporate career to pursue. But he was a friend, as I say. We met up every so often, maybe every 6 months, and had coffee, and he'd ask about the business. He saw the business had changed. He saw we had changed. He saw our lifestyle change. And he was experiencing change. He was experiencing corporate change. And he didn't like it. It's funny, what I'd gone through a few years before, he began to go through with the company that he was with. But was he bitter about the fact that he didn't continue with the business? Was he critical? Was he apportioning blame? No. Was he there saying it didn't work? No. Was he bitter? Was he bad-mouthing the business? To his credit, no. He was happy for our success. He was happy for the success of the business. Now, he knew it worked for others. He knew that the ethics and principles were sound, and he knew it was a forgiving business. He remembered also that he had an unfulfilled dream. He got back in the business, and he gave us the opportunity to sponsor him. He wanted to join the winning team of this organisation. We're looking forward to him addressing you sometime in the very near future, because we know he's going to be a very big pin. But the very simple message is, if we can do it, if he can do it, then you can do it. Trust the system. Trust this organisation. Trust the system the organisation has in place. Believe in your ability. As much as the people that are working and helping you and have got you here today believe in you. They probably believe right now more in you than you believe in yourself. The momentum for this business is still building. The business is still in its infancy. You've only just begun with this business if you're here for the first time. But for everybody, you've only just begun. Look to the future and not the past. This business won't reach top speed in any of our lifetimes, or the next generations, The potential is unlimited. Except on faith that with this organisation, this system, this pattern, and the good advice you get now from your leadership, that you can achieve your dreams if you have the burning desire, if you have the tenacity and the unwavering commitment to chase them. We've enjoyed speaking with you. We'll talk with you again tomorrow.